Well, my presentation isn't going to be as good as hers. I've never done this before, and, so I'm pretty nervous. So as she said, I started working with Dan just this last year. We were really looking at the Alewife populations. So introduction, we got the background, the objective, all that stuff. Methods, we have all of our Alewife data, our historical data on the lake, as well as the modeling approach. We used the von Bert model as our base. The results, we have overall growth, annual variability, and continuous covariance. So, the Alewife are obviously, we all know, they're all native. When they're introduced to the lakes, they actually become severely invasive, again, if I know that. And they really do have a lot of different effects. For instance, as we saw in this lake, they killed off a lot of the other foraging fish, and they increased different game fish sizes while also obviously competing with the other native species. So they were introduced in the 1980s. They really diminished the size of the Daphnia, as Holly has already stated, and they really affected the forage fish. As Holly again stated, they really went down, and the lake trout went up. They got really, really heavy and whatnot, and got really big. So yeah, they really fell off in 2012. So the walleye stocking efforts, as Holly stated, began in 2000 and 2014. 600,000 walleye were stocked in an attempt to not only replenish just the fishery of walleye, because it was historic before that, but also to try to combat the alewife. Yeah, they really just diminished the alewife population. So our objectives were to develop a framework to model alewife growth and influences of abiotic factors, and apply that to see what happens to the alewife. So how they I think it was DC and Cooperstown, I'm not really sure, I can't remember right off the top of my head, but they sampled alewife from Ontario Lake using gill nets. They do 3 different layers, a top, middle, and then a bottom to really get a good handle on the different sizes and age groups. So for the aging, we extracted otoliths from each alewife. Took quite a good chunk of time, but we were able to do it. We did 670 alewife. We subsampled them. We tried to do 40 to 45 fish out of each age group. We did all of the fish from 2002 to 2003 for an unrelated project, but we took all of them out. We ended up using that in our model as well. If we didn't have 40 to 45 fish in that year, we would just sample, or we would just do them all just to have all that extra data. So our main interests were really the cladoceran size and the density, comparing the two. During our project, we did look at ice cover data, as alewife are really affected by temperature, really sensitive. So there was a study done in the Great Lakes that they were looking at whether alewife could survive at low temperatures, and it turns out at about 3 degrees Celsius that they would end up dying. Most of them died off, but anywhere close to that, their motor skills would slow down, everything would just really slow down, they weren't able to do much, so it made them easier prey for the walleye. And yeah, so we tried seeing if that had an effect. So this isn't really my area. This is where Dan came in, because I had no idea what our studio was until he showed me this glorious project, and I was like, whoa, okay. So we used the von Bert growth model, and it was really just, as I said before, was to detect the changes in growth over the years. And we inputted all the other variables, mean cladoceran size. We haven't quite yet put in the walleye part of it. We're planning on doing that, but we did end up seeing a really good graph on the cladoceran size compared to the alewife population. So here's a graph about the total length compared to the age of the fish from our samples of 2000 and 2012. As you can see, really it leveled off for the most part at about 130, 140. We didn't really see many bigger, except for in the 2000s we really saw a couple big fish, but really there wasn't many really big ones. So in this one, the gray line is cladoceran size, and the box plots are the growth rate of the alewife, and it's and then so then it's just graphed against the year. As you can see, the cladoceran size, as soon as it hit about 2004, the alewife population really dipped. We are suspecting it was because just how big the population had gotten. The lake just couldn't handle it, and they just plummeted. And they tried rebounding, as you can see, around 2006, between 2006 and 2007. But again, they just dropped and just disappeared pretty much. This one is alewife density compared to the growth rates, and plotted against the year. So I'll just take a second to take that in. And then the cladoceran size. So this is really what we wanted to see, is if the cladoceran size was going to recover, and if alewife did have an effect on it. And as this graph shows, it really had quite a substantial effect, as the cladoceran size is now increasing pretty steadily. And then this is plotted. We used Holly's hydroacoustic data for the alewife density. So this is just a graph showing the alewife density decreasing, and sorry. So the summary, we really did do well with the model. It worked really well for us. We detected everything we wanted to see, and we were able to relate everything back to the biological factors. And then everything else we touched, really what Holly's had said. We were able to loop it back and all that. So so as I stated, we weren't able to do the walleye part yet. We're planning on doing that shortly. But we also have to input the lake trout. And the other environmental factors, we were just going to look at the ice out data more. We are also going to look at when it wasn't iced over, what kind of temperatures we were looking at, water clarity, all that stuff. And then acknowledgements. So none of this would have been possible, obviously, without my work at the biological field station. My good friend Kayla Johnson was with me my senior year, but she wasn't able to do it for the summer. And then all my fellow interns of the 2017 biological field station internship. They really helped me get the otoliths out, put the remaining otoliths out, and really age them. So that was hard times.